So good morning and welcome back after a long weekend, I should say. So we'll straight go to the chapter because we already know we are going to start with the coordinate geometry. Many of you have attempted the concept map. I'm happy because we had lots of days which we have skipped and then we have come back. If you have still not completed your concept map, please complete it. I think I had given you enough time to complete it. Some of your friends have posted it in the group also. So at least look at that and try to follow and complete. Now you should not have any problem completing the concept map, and because coordinate geometry of class 10 is a continuation of what happened in class 9, we'll quickly look at the coordinate plane, try to understand how we have gone through the chapter in class 9 and then start with the content that we have for class 10. So I'll go and share my screen here now. Okay, are you seeing my screen? You can see the GeoGebra interface there. Yes, can you see the interface there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we will quickly discuss what we know about a coordinate plane. A coordinate plane is made of the x and the y axis. The x axis is the horizontal axis and the y axis is the vertical axis. And these two axes will meet at the origin. So this is how a coordinate plane is constructed. So when two axes are intersecting at the origin, the entire plane is divided into 4 quadrants, which we have already seen. So let me try to annotate that. So when you have the positive x and the positive y, that is where we have the first quadrant. This is quadrant 1, which all the points in this quadrant 1 will have positive x and positive y coordinates. And this is the second quadrant. All right. So here you have the negative x and the positive y. So all the points in the second quadrant will have negative x coordinates and the positive y coordinates. Then coming down, the intersection between the negative x and the negative y. That means all the points in quadrant 3 will have negative x coordinates and negative y coordinates. And then the fourth one, we will have the positive x and the negative y value. So all the points on the fourth quadrant will have x coordinates as positives and the y coordinates as negative. So this is something that we have already seen in the previous classes. So given any point on the coordinate plane, we know that we are able to find its abscissa and the ordinate. So what is an abscissa and what is an ordinate? We will try to understand now. So if I take a point, say somewhere on the first quadrant, say I mark it like this, this is point A. Now this point A is at some distance from the y-axis and at some distance from the x-axis. So this will decide the coordinates of that point A. Now if you see the algebra part of it, it's already visible here for you. This point A is represented as 4, 1. That means what? Its abscissa is 4 and its ordinate is 1. Abscissa is nothing but the distance of the given point from the y-axis. So this vertical axis is the y-axis. So at what distance this is A from the y-axis? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is at a distance of 4 units from the y-axis. So that 4 is nothing but your abscissa. The distance of the point from the y-axis is called the abscissa. Now the same point is at some distance from the x-axis. The x-axis is the horizontal axis. So it is at a distance of, say, how many units from the x-axis? It is exactly 1. So this 1 is called the ordinate of the given point A. So it is at a distance of 1 unit. Can you see it's only 1 above the x-axis? So this abscissa and the ordinate will give you the coordinate of that given point A. So if you read it as 4, 1. 4 units away from the y-axis and 1 unit away from the x-axis. So if I take any point, say I take one in the second quadrant, you know in the second quadrant the x values or the abscissa will be negative. So can you see it is negative 5, 5. Negative 5 and 5 on the y. So this is the intersection point of this two axes, the distances, and hence your B will be labeled as negative 5, 5. Now let me try one point in the third quadrant. Can you already see it is giving the coordinates? It is negative 8 comma negative 3. Negative 8, negative 3. So when I come back to the fourth quadrant, I see this D. So D is having a coordinate of 5 comma negative 2. Can you understand this? This is all that we have done in class 9. We given a point, we know how to plot it in the coordinate plane, irrespective of wherever it is on the coordinate plane. Some of them may lie in the first, second, third, or fourth. So depending on the values of the abscissa and the ordinate, we will be able to decide which quadrant it will fall into. So this is something that we already have done. Now today what we are going to start with is, we are going to find the distance between two given points. Let me clear all this. Okay, so the distance between 2 points on a given coordinate plane. So we have a general formula which will be introduced to you now after the derivation is done. So before we go into that, we'll just try to find out how these 2 points can lie on the coordinate plane. So I'll just take a few examples. Say I take a point here, A on the x-axis. So what will be the coordinates of point A? It is 1, 0. It is at a distance of 1 unit from the y-axis, so it is 1, and it is on the x-axis, so its y-coordinate or the ordinate will become 0. So this is the first point I've taken. Suppose my second point is also somewhere lying on the x-axis itself. Say the B is 8, 0. Now if I need to find the distance between these 2 points, it is very simple. I know because both of them are on the same x-axis. I can just find the difference between the abscissa, that is 8 minus 1, which will give me the distance between A and B. Because the ordinate is common for them. It is 0 and 0. So the distance will be easily measured as 7 units. You can see it. When you move from A to B, how many jumps have you made? You made a 7 jumps to reach B. Now similarly, if I take some point, say, here on the y-axis, and another point is also on the y-axis only. All right, now you can see the coordinates of C is 0, 7,
Ma'am?
and that of D. Yes, tell me.
Mom, Kushi S is waiting, mom.
Okay, somebody is waiting. Oh, so many of them are waiting.
Ma'am, even Varalakshmi.
Yeah. I'm just seeing some 6 of them maybe. Yeah, they got it. Okay, now we have 2 points C and D on the y-axis. Again, this is similar to the previous case. You have the coordinates of point C as 0, 7 and the coordinates of point D as 0, 2. Now, because again here the abscissa has become common, 0, and the ordinate only is different. So to find the distance between two such points is very simple. You can see how many jumps do you make on the y-axis to reach point C from D? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you can say 7 minus 2 is the distance between the 2 points on the y-axis. So this can happen on the negative direction of the y-axis, x-axis, and also on the negative direction of the y-axis. So if they are on the axis or one of the coordinates, that is the abscissa or the ordinate between 2 points is common, then to find the distance between them is very simple. Now, what do you think would happen if they are not going to be on this axis? Suppose I mark my point A here. Yeah, somebody is still waiting?
Monica. Yes, ma'am, Monica.
Monica is still
Ma'am, Monica is waiting.
Yeah, just a minute. Let me see. Yeah, I've admitted. Okay, so now I take a point A somewhere on the first quadrant and I mark another point, say B here. So immediately I know the coordinates of this point A is 3, 2 and that of B is 7, 6. You can see it. Now I want the distance between them. That means I just draw this line segment between them. This is the distance that I want. So how will I find the distance of these 2 points, the distance between these 2 points, A and B? Now I can't just use the previous method where either they were on the y-axis or both of them are on the x-axis, because none of the coordinates are common. You see, A is 3, 2 and B is 7, 6. So this method that we used previously will not work here. So for this, I have to bring in the Pythagoras theorem. So if I need to bring in the Pythagoras theorem, I have to have a right triangle. So the right triangle is what I will try to bring now. So I'm going to draw perpendiculars or drop perpendicular from A and B onto the x-axis. So let me see how I can construct the perpendicular line. Yes, I have constructed one at A and then I have constructed one at B. Both of these are perpendicular lines to the x-axis. All right. Similarly, I'll be constructing a perpendicular line at A which is perpendicular to your y-axis. Can you see? Now, by doing all this, I have constructed a right triangle deliberately. Do you agree that this angle will be 90 here now? Yeah, because this is a perpendicular to the y-axis and this is a perpendicular to the x-axis. So when two perpendiculars meet, definitely the angle between them is 90 degrees. Now we will try to find that point of intersect. We will take the two perpendicular lines that I have drawn. I take the intersection point and it's automatically coming out as C. Now I think I will remove the other lines so that I don't have to see all this when I do my generalization of the formula. So I remove all these lines that is not required for me. So what I have to complete this, I have to complete the right triangle. So I take the line segment, join A and C, because already I got the intersect point. I know that point is the intersection between the two perpendiculars that I have drawn. Now I can remove the labels. I don't want the labels. Okay, then maybe I can satisfy myself to tell that, yeah, it is a right angle that is there between B, C and A. Can you see I can get the right angle there? It's getting marked as 90. Why it is getting marked as 90? Because that is the intersection point between the two perpendiculars that I had drawn. Now I think I'll remove that label also. It's not required now that I know that it is a 90 degree. Now to find this length AB, I can definitely apply the Pythagoras because I got a right triangle now. So if I take AC square and BC square and add them, what I will get is the AB square using the Pythagoras. Now, how do I find the length AC and BC? Now, it's very clear that my point A, when I took it, it was now the point A is 3, 2. Can you see it on the screen there? And my point B was 7, 6. Now, using these two, do you think I will be able to guess what will be your point C? It's already showing as 7, 2 here. From the graph also you can see it is 7, 2. So I can now write this as 7, 2, A as 3, 2, and B as 7, 6. Now, because these two are now lying on the same horizontal line, can I find the distance between A and C? You can just read it from the graph also. The distance between them is 4 because the x coordinate of A is 3. You're seeing it there. And the x coordinate of C is 7. So the 7 minus 3, you can see there are 4 boxes in between A and C. So the distance here is 4 units. All right. Similarly, when you come between B and C, now the coordinate of B is 7, 6 and that of C is 7, 2. So 7 is common. That is the abscissa is common. So I take the difference between the ordinate that is 6 and 2. Again, this happens to be 4. So the distance between AC is 4 and the distance between BC is also 4. So can I get this distance AB now using the Pythagoras? So it will be 4 square plus 4 square, which is 16 plus 16. So this will be square root of 32. I'm using my mouse to write, so it's very bad. So this is square root of 32. So this I can apply for a specific case here. So when I need the general formula for the distance between 2 points, if I take the first coordinates of A as x1, y1, say I call it x1, y1. Excuse my writing because I'm writing with a mouse, it's very difficult. And this I call it as x2 and y2. Okay. So what will be the coordinates of this point C? Will you be able to guess if this is x1, y1 and this is x2, y2? What will be the coordinates of this C?
x3.
If anyone can guess, what should be the coordinate? Because every point on this line will have y1 as its y coordinate. And what will be the x coordinate?
2, y1.
X2,
y3.
so it will be x2, y1. So that is how you will get this point. Now using these 3 points now in a general way, not a specific. You are just giving the variables. A is having a coordinates x1, y1. B is having x2, y2, and hence C will have x1, y2. All right. So this point now, when you have decided, then you can apply the Pythagoras to get what will be the distance between A and B. So this I will show it as a video to you now. It's a small video. So I think I will stop the screen share and I will let you view the video now. The entire derivation is there because for me writing is a problem. I thought I will show it as a video. So it will be playing through my external speaker. So you may have to put on your headphones and listen to it. Okay, so I'll go back to my screen share to get you on to that video. So let me see how I can promote this. Yeah, I'm not playing the entire video. I'm just going to play the part which is required for you. So I've just paused the video now for you to draw this diagram quickly. So you need a coordinate plane. You have to mark these points P and Q as x1, y1 and x2, y2. So automatically your R will become x2, y1. So mark these 3 points and get ready. I'll start playing the video. Just 30 seconds I'll give you. Okay, as you're drawing, you can listen to the video because anyway I'm recording this. It will be available to you by evening.
Now, instead of those points, what we have done, we've taken variables. So P is x1, y1 and Q is x2, y2. Now, according to these 2 points, you could name R, where R has the same x coordinate as x2 and R has the same y coordinates as P, so y1. So we have found out x and y1 as the coordinates of R.
Can you hear? I hope you are at least, if not very loudly, it is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, what will be the distance between P and R? Well, you know, whenever 2 points have the same y coordinates, we can just subtract the x coordinates to find out the distance.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear.
What will be the distance between P and R? We can just subtract the x coordinates. So let's do this. x2 minus x1. This will give us PR. Now, what about QR? Can you tell me? QR will be the distance between Q and R. Now I can see that both Q and R are having the same x coordinates. So to find out their distance, we have to subtract their y coordinates. So QR will be y2 minus y1. We are subtracting the y coordinates. Now from the Pythagoras formula, we have seen we get PQ squared is equal to PR squared plus QR squared, that is hypotenuse squared is equal to A squared plus perpendicular squared. Now, instead of this, we can write out their values, which we have already taken out. So, substituting this, let's see what we get. So, PQ squared is equal to PR squared. Instead of PR, we write x2 minus x1. Plus QR squared. Now QR can be substituted by y2 minus y1. So y2 minus y1. Here we are having square. We write square. So we got PQ squared is what? x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Now we need the distance between P and Q. So we need to remove the square from here. So PQ will be what? Root over x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Now this is how we have derived the distance formula. Here the distance between P and Q can be found out by the formula x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. This is the distance formula.
Now you can write that down. That is the distance formula. That is the first formula I have introduced for you in the coordinate geometry chapter. All right, so this is the first formula. There are a set of formulas which will follow further. So this is the first one. So box it up like this. When you have 2 points, say P and Q, whose coordinates are x1, y1 and x2, y2. Then to find the distance between them, you have to use this formula, where D equals square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So if they give you the values of x1, y1 and x2, y2 in the problem, you just have to substitute those values and find the squares and the square roots to get the distance between P and Q.
Distance between any 2 points on a graph paper can be found out with this formula. Now, even without the graph paper, given 2 points, you can find out the distance between those 2 points.
So this is one example that she has taken to solve. I don't want to play this here for you. So I'll stop the screen share and come back. Okay, so you have got your first formula, that is the distance formula. Now we should learn how to apply this formula in a given problem. So we will go back to our exercise now to find out how we are able to apply this formula that we have just learned in a new situation. So I think you can take your textbooks. Yeah, this is exercise 7.1 that we are just looking at. So the first problem is what we will take up and try doing it. So find the distance between the following pairs of points. So you are given 3 pairs of points. I'll just take the first and the second one if possible to see how to use the distance formula we have just learned to apply it there. Now before I proceed with the first one, I'm just going to take the first one in exercise 7.1. Is there any doubt in arriving at the distance formula using the Pythagoras? No? Okay, then I think you can take down the problem and we'll start with it. I will have to go to the next screen share here. So I'm just putting on my earphones. So can you see my screen here now? Is it visible? I have the exercise 7.1.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll come back to the first problem. I think I typed so many things. Okay, I've come back to the first problem. Is it visible now? There are 3 problems in the first main. That is question number 1. There are 3 problems. Maybe I can do 1 and 2. We'll see how time permits. So we will take the first one now. These are the 2 points whose coordinates are 2, 3 and 4, 1. So I am going to use my distance formula which I have just derived now. x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So I will mark. I can take the first one as x1, y1, that is 2, 3, and the second point 4, 1 as x2, y2. You can mark it like this so that you substitute it properly in the formula. So your x1 is equal to 2. Your x1 is equal to 2. We have taken your x2 is equal to 4. And similarly, your y1 is 3 and your y2 is 1. So these are the values. I just take down the formula. Please make it a point to write down the formula every time you do a problem on the coordinate geometry, because this has got value points in your board valuation. So whenever there is a problem on coordinate geometry, definitely there will be the usage of one of the formulas you have just learned. So please show it to the evaluator that you know the formula. So this is how you have to show. You have to tell distance PQ equals square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So that we substitute now. Your x2 you have taken it as 4 and your y2 you have, sorry, x2 you have taken as 2, y2 as 1 and y1 as 3. So just substitute is there. 4 minus 2 is 2 square and 1 minus 3 is negative 2 the whole square. Because there are squares everywhere, there will be no problem of negatives at all. And distance we know will never be a negative value. So you're getting 2 square is 4. Again, negative 2 square is also 4. So 4 plus 4 becomes 8. So the square root of 8, I call it as 2 root 2 units. This is also very important because what you are finally reporting is a distance. So you should always report it as some units. If it is given in the problem as some centimeter, then you can take it. But because only the coordinates are given here, so you should tell yes, because I am reporting the distance, I report it as so and so many units. So any doubt, it is just a mere substitution in the formula. But this formula is something that you have to remember from today onwards. So as I keep on accumulating the formulas, we will spend the first 5 minutes in all our classes to recall this formula. All right. Okay, then I think we will move on to the second slide. Okay, I had to clear that. Just a minute. Now this is the second one. Okay, the third one also I have typed. Okay, never mind. We will just look at the second one and then I leave the third one to you. So this is showing me a timeout of almost 10 minutes. Okay, I think we can complete one problem by that time. Yeah. So the second coordinates that you had, the second pair of coordinates where P is negative 5, 7 and Q is negative 1, 3. So this is also as simple as what you have been doing. You just substitute your values for x1 and x2. Similarly, substitute your values for y1 and your y2. So again, as I told you, you will first recall the formula, then substitute the values of x1, x2 and then y1, y2. So x2 was negative 1 minus negative 5. Negative of negative 5, that's why it is written as positive 5 here. Can you see that? So negative 1 plus positive 5 the whole square plus your y2 is 3 and your y1 is 7. So 3 minus 7 the whole square. So that is a negative 4. So here you get a positive 4 square and a negative 4 square. Both of them 4 square, which is 16 plus 16. So it is root 32. 32 can be factorized as what? 16 into 2. 16, the square root is 4 and the 2 remains inside the square root symbol. Is that clear? So it is just a mere substitution in the formula. So the more of it you can see it while you look at the video. So we will move back to the next slide, where I have taken question number 3 of your exercise. I have skipped a problem. That means you should be able to complete it. So we are in question number 3. Let us try to understand. This is a very, very frequently asked question. How do I show that 3 points given to me are collinear? So what do you understand by collinear? What is this collinear? When do I say 3 points are collinear?
3 points
Ma'am,
on the
which are
same
on
line.
the straight line.
Ma'am, when the
All the 3 points, if
Points
they
are on the
happen to
same
fall
same line.
on the same
Same
straight line, then the points are collinear.
line.
Now, how will I show that they are collinear without plotting the points? If I plot the points, it will be very clearly visible that they are all on the straight line, that they are collinear. Or if they are not on the straight line, we will tell they are not collinear. Now, but without using the graph, I'm just using the formula to find out how they are collinear. Now, to find out whether 3 given points are collinear, there are 2 different ways. One is using the distance formula. The second one is using the area of triangle. So when I reach that formula later on, maybe in another 4 or 5 classes, we will reach there. I will teach you again how 3 points can become collinear using that formula. Now, because I have just introduced the distance formula, I'm going to apply the distance formula to show that the 3 points are collinear. So I have 3 points. So I'll take this first point as say A. I call this as A. And the second one as B. It is already assumed there for you. You can see there. And this is C. So when I have 3 points A, B, and C, say I assume that they are going to fall on a straight line like this. Suppose this is A, this is B, and this is C. So I'll just mark it. This is A, this is B, and this is C. So when they fall on a straight line, the condition that will be satisfied is when I take the distance AB and I take the distance BC and I add them AB plus BC. If it is exactly equal to AC, then I can tell that the 3 points are collinear. So this is a condition that you have to remember. When are 3 points collinear? 3 points will be collinear if the distances between them, the sum of distances between the 3 of them is equal to the total distance between the first and the third point. That is AB plus BC. If it is equal to your AC, then I can conclude that A, B, and C are collinear. So let me find out what is the distance between AB, BC, and what is the distance between AC. So that's what is done here. Can you see AB is determined, then BC, then you have the AC. So when I take AB, I'll take this one as x1, y1, this as x2, y2. So that substituted in the formula, you will get 2 minus 1 the whole square and 3 minus 5 the whole square, which is 1 square plus negative 2 square, which happens to become 1 plus 4, which is root 5. So I got this as root 5, the AB. Now coming to BC. So when you take BC, this is your x1, y1 and this is your x2, y2. So it will be negative 2 minus 2 the whole square plus negative 11 minus 3 the whole square. So when that is done, I get negative 4 square plus negative 14 square. So that is 196 and 16 added together, I get 212. So I get the value of BC as 2 root 53. Now going to the AC, that is this and this. So I have the 2 points. When I substitute it, it's negative 2 minus 1 the whole square plus negative 11 minus 5 the whole square. So when I subtract this and square, I get negative 3 square plus negative 16 square, which has become 9 plus 256, which is square root of 265. Now what can you see? AB, BC and AC. When I add these two, do you think there is any chance of getting the square root of 265? No, not at all possible. This is just 2 root 53 and this is root 5. I can't further simplify this because both of them are irrationals. You can't further add them. You can only write it as root 5 plus 2 root 53. So I know my root 5 plus 2 root 53 can never be equal to square root of 265. And hence I am able to tell, since my AB plus BC is not equal to AC, A, B and C are not collinear to each other. Or those are not they are three non-collinear points. Did you follow that? So unless you remember this condition, you will not be able to go back and tell whether there is collinearity or not. So this is a very frequently asked question. So I stop my screen share there to see what is the time I have. Okay, I have another 3 minutes. So complete that problem. I'll come back again there only. So you can see it there. I have AB, BC and AC. Because my AB plus BC is not equal to AC, I am able to go back and tell the 3 points A, B and C are not collinear. The question is determine if the points are collinear. Now you know that the condition is not getting satisfied. That is AB plus BC is not equal to AC and hence your A, B and C are not at all collinear to each other. Alright. So we will stop here and rejoin in another 1 minute because I don't want to abruptly stop and then run away. So I stop the screen share. In case you are a little slow in writing, you can always get back to the video and copy down the questions. So we'll meet back with the same link in another 2 minutes. Okay. So I'll end the meeting here.